Hello YouTube, very special video I have planned for you today. Basically, I'm gonna get right to it. We got a new tank for the channel. This is something I've hinted at in previous videos, but now I'm actually gonna get started with it. Basically, this is a 10-gallon tank, and for the first time in my experience in the hobby, I'm going to try breeding fish myself. I've had fish, breed, but it's been in my, display tanks, and obviously, fry wouldn't make it 2 seconds. So, so I've had fish breed before, but I've never myself actually tried to raise them or, go through the entire breeding and raising of the fry process in a separate tank. So basically that's what I'm doing, and the reason I'm doing this is a video I posted last week of Boesemani Rainbow fish in my tank. I have a male and 3 females, and I want to try to breed them basically. So I made this video, one, to kind of document my own progress. This is my first time. I want to see how I do and get it documented if I have any luck. But also, I want to show you guys, if you guys are interested in breeding fish, I'll try to make it as general as possible so this can apply to a wide range of fish. And of course, for every specific fish, you got to research the specific breeding techniques. Every fish is different. Plecos, angelfish, rainbows like I'm doing. Every fish has a different method of breeding. Cichlids, have their own. And so this video is just walking you through basically the general what it's going to take for me to breed these Boesemanis. And I want to make it seem like something all of you can try, because it turns out it wasn't too expensive. These are pretty basic supplies for a tank. It's nothing fancy at all. So this is something I hope can inspire you guys to try this yourselves. And other than that, let's just get started. So basically, like I said, 10-gallon tank. That's probably a perfect size for Boesemani Rainbow fry. Obviously they're tiny, but they don't get too big. So I think a 10-gallon will work for at least a few months before they're big enough for the 55. And after that, just some simple equipment. Got a heater, just the cheapest adjustable heater I can find. Didn't need anything fancy, etc. The tank itself. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the prices too, just so you know. Like, generally, this isn't an expensive, little adventure I'm going on. It's actually pretty affordable for a whole new tank on top of these other ones. But so the tank, I believe was it was 10 plus taxes, because it was $1 per gallon sale at Petco. Definitely highly suggest that. So $1 per gallon sale, use that. $10 for the tank. I bought the hood, which was, I believe the hood was 15. Heater, Amazon, 10 bucks. Sponge filter. This is something you probably won't find at a Petco or PetSmart. The tubing usually comes separate. I did find one that came with it. Sponge filter basically is a pretty basic filter. Basically it's just got this one little sponge kind of cartridge ring around the outside of it. You hook the tubing up to any old air pump. Air pump was $5 on Amazon. The sponge filter I think was like $6, which included the tubing and some the stickers, the things that stick them onto the glass wall. I forget what they're called, but they clip onto the tubing. You push them up against the wall, hold it in place. So that I think it was 6 or 7 for all of that. Sponge filter by itself was only like $5. It's just a pretty basic one. So yeah, tank 10, air pump 5, this 6 or 7, heater 10, cover was 15. And so basically how the sponge filter works is you hook it up to any old, airline pump. You hook this end up, and as it blows bubbles into here, it creates a suction, so it pulls water in through this is a sponge sort of cartridge, sort of what you see in like a bio filter media. So it sucks water in, but this is very popular, used for breeding tanks and raising stuff like shrimp, because there's enough suction to still get water and particles, but the fry and the shrimp won't get sucked up in here. Because it doesn't have regular filter intake holes, it's got this sponge. So the shrimp can actually travel on this sponge and feed off the little food particles stuck to it without getting sucked up themselves. So it's very helpful for breeding small fry. Don't want them getting sucked up in the filter, and also for shrimp tanks, because it's safer for them. And so that's most of the expenses. There's one last thing I want to walk you through. So basically, what we have here, this is a spawning mop, and what it is basically it's made of yarn and a cork ball, like a wine cork for a bottle. And so basically, there's many videos all over YouTube on how to make these. The video I watched, super helpful, is Solid Gold Aquatics. She walks you through how to make one. Again, it's called a spawning mop. Basically, this is used to replicate a plant, and it's a lot more hassle-free than because the Boesemani Rainbows, what they do is they breed and lay eggs on plants. And so this is a lot easier and hassle-free than using an actual live plant, disturbing it. So they're used in breeding tanks to replicate, a plant with its, leaves and strings and stuff. Basically, all it is, the only ingredients to the spawning mop is, a roll of yarn and corks. And so the yarn was about $3-4, and so they gave me a whole bag of corks and a whole bunch of yarn, and that way, if I want to make more in the future, I can. It was pretty cheap. You can't buy a single bottle cork, and so it's cheap enough just to buy that, and so I have more to, if I want to do more in the future, more spawning mops. But basically, how this is going to work is, so the Boesemanis, they like a little warmer temperature, so I'm going to get the tank running, going to get the sponge filter running, and I'm going to turn the temperature up to about 82, 83, which is their breeding temperatures. And so I'm going to do that, and basically you put this in the water. Again, watch the video by Solid Gold Aquatics. You gotta boil it a little to waterlog it, so that it won't just all float. It'll actually sink down in the water and look like a plant. Basically, I'm going to put the male Boesemani with one of my females in this tank, probably 2 or 3 days, and then remove them, and then hopefully what that leaves us with is a bunch of eggs on here. There's not going to be any substrate, nothing else. It's just going to be this and the empty tank, besides the sponge filter and the heater. Empty setup keeps it simple for cleaning and spotting the fry if I do end up with some. So basically, ideally they're going to lay their eggs on this. The male comes in, fertilizes them. I leave it for a couple days, because not all the eggs will actually hatch. A lot of them do end up what's it called, down, like they grow a fungus and they die, but some of them, or some of them just won't be fertilized because they have to be found by the male and fertilized, and then some that are fertilized will die as well. So basically, you leave them in for a couple days to ensure you get, you know, a good decent batch. I'm probably gonna leave them in 3 days. I think that makes the most sense. And yeah, then you remove them, bring it back to this display tank, and then you just wait. They take about a week to 10 days to hatch, and then once you're at that point, you just start feeding them. I don't have the food on me, but it's called Hikari First Bites. It's, you know, just a tiny, you know, powdery food specifically for fish fry in their first few days of feeding. You know, just to give them, you know, the right nutrients, with, you know, a small size food that they can actually eat, because again, fry, it's going to even be hard to see on camera or with my eyes in general, but they are very small. And but the Hikari First Bites is what I'm using, and they can, you know, feed on that for a while until they get a little bigger, and you can move them to like small pellets and stuff like that, or brine shrimp, like the baby brine shrimp, frozen. But basically, that's all really for the breeding tank. I wanted to introduce you guys to it. Again, here it is with all the supplies. Basically, one last rundown. You need an air pump, you need airline tubing, and a sponge filter. Again, nothing fancy. Sponge filter, obviously, just to keep the fry from getting sucked up while still filtering the water. A heater that's adjustable, especially. So that won't apply to all fish. I know specifically some cichlids, you know, start breeding when the water gets warmer, and Boesemanis do as well, and so that's why I need an adjustable heater, so it's not just preset to tropical. It goes, you know, 82, 83, because that's where that triggers them to start breeding. You need a tank cover. Obviously, you don't want any of the fry, you know, escaping. And plus, that helps trap in some of the heat. With the added heat from the heater, you know, a little higher than tropical, helps keep it, you know, more efficient by keeping heat trapped in. And then, like I said, not all fish will need it, but a spawning mop is specifically what to use for Boesemani Rainbows, and some other fish will use them as well. And I believe that is all. That is, you know, I'm just trying to make it the simplest setup possible. You know, 1, to save money, 2, to make it easy on myself, and 3, to make it easy on you guys if you guys want to go home and try this yourselves, breed your own fish. This is the, you know, just the bare minimum setup, just to get you guys, you know, a little inspiration on how to do it yourselves. So with that, that concludes my video. I will be posting, you know, a ton of updates on this tank once I get a run in, once I get the fish in, and, you know, after that I'll be posting, you know, probably a week after that, an update on the tank, see if we have fry, and obviously after that to, you know, walking you through raising them. So fingers crossed, hoping for good luck here. If not, it's not the end of the world. They are a pretty easy species to breed, so I will keep trying to get some babies, some free fish from my tanks. Basically, is the goal here. Is, if I have an excess amount, I will give some to friends. I'll give some back to the pet store. And so, yeah, that's all for the tank. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for those updates. You know, this was a pretty, you know, basic introduction video to it, but, you know, more exciting updates coming your way once we get some actual breeding action going. So, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for those updates. Stay tuned for other fish videos coming. We've got a lot of things going on, more than just the breeding tank. And, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hop in the comments with any suggestions. Thank you.